Are you thinking of renting a car in Sydney? But is it a really good idea? How easy is it actually to navigate the city, and how can I avoid unexpected fees? Where are the best deals, and is there any scam I should watch out for? What can I visit outside of Sydney with a rented car? In this video I'm gonna answer all these questions and much more, so let's get started. Sydney Airport is split into the Terminal T1, which is the international terminal, and the Terminal T2 or T3, which are the domestic terminals. All major car rental companies, including Avis, Budget, Europcar, have desks at the airport. In the international Terminal T1, which is located on the western side of the airport, and that's where I am presently, the car rental desks are located in the arrival hall, which you see here behind me. Once you finish at the rental desk, you can pick up the car on the ground floor of the multiple-story car park, which is opposite the terminal, and you see here the ground floor with Avis, I think it is, and then there is Hertz and all of the other car rental companies which are on site into the airport. For off-site car companies, once outside of the terminal, you can go to the shuttle bus area and call your provider to pick you up. Here is a crucial tip for Sydney. If you're arriving at a domestic terminal, which is either T2 or T3, you will probably need to use the shuttle bus for pick up or drop off, even if a rental desk is at the airport, like you see here on my back. Due to construction works, which should terminate in 2026, now many companies rely on shuttle buses to external pickup locations, meaning you should allow 20 to 30 minutes for the pickup of a car. Doesn't matter what company are you gonna rent with, on-site or off-site. But what is the difference between on-site and off-site car rentals? Well, usually the off-site tend to be around 10 to 20% cheaper. However, you need to budget around 20 to 30 minutes for the shuttle trip to the provider's location, which is just outside of the airport. Of course, because of the construction work at the domestic airport, if your flight is from within Australia, for example from Melbourne, you will have to take a shuttle anyway. Renting a car in the city is also another option, although prices tend to be a bit more expensive, sometimes up to 50% more, and availability is also more limited. On the positive side, if you're already in the city, maybe after a short Sydney stay, then renting a car can be more practical because you don't have to take the train back to the terminal. From time to time, the city providers also offer a few special deals which can be quite competitive. And for this reason, over the past 5 years, I've been booking my cars through my favorite comparison website, which works as an Airbnb of car rentals, where each provider is rated based on a genuine customer feedback ranging from 5 to 10 stars. I usually filter for ratings above 8 stars or even 9 stars and select from that short list. It's as simple as that, and this website also offers very competitive prices, which is truly a win-win situation. I've added a link to this website in the video description. Have a check, and if you find any good deal, I suggest you booking straight away. Cancellation is usually free of charge up to 48 hours from the pickup, which is so handy in case we change your plan, isn't it? But do you actually need to rent a car in Sydney? Honestly, if you plan to stay mostly within the city, then public transport will be your best bet in and around Sydney. In fact, driving your rental car into the city centre, the CBD, is not a great idea because of costly parking and heavy traffic, as you see here on my back. Public transportation in Sydney is excellent. There is a huge network including ferries, trains, trams and buses, as you see on my back. Important thing is to have an Opal card that you can tap in and tap out whenever you jump in or jump out from the buses or any kind of local transportation. However, if you want to explore more than just the city, if you want to experience the incredible nature outside of Sydney, then a car is essential. You can easily discover places like the Blue Mountains, the Hunter Valley wine region, or simply the New South Wales, South or North Coast. Really endless opportunity. So the rule of thumb, I guess, is to rent a car whenever you want to explore a destination outside of the city. If you stay in the city, public transportation works better. Because of the traffic that you have in the city, just look behind me, and also for parking, which can be expensive in a few areas. What about the documents that you need to rent a car in Sydney and in Australia, of course? Well, you need the valid passport and the valid driving license. If your foreign license is in English or any driving license with Latin letters, then you can drive with it in Australia for up to 3 months. However, if your license uses non-Latin letters like Chinese or Arabic, you must organize before coming to Australia an international driving permit, an IDP. It typically costs between 20 and 30 US dollars in your own country. Remember one important thing, you must carry both your IDP and your domestic license when driving, because if police stops you, may need to check both of them. The minimum age to rent a car in Sydney is typically 21 years, and drivers under the age of 25 will almost certainly be subject to an additional fee known as a young driver surcharge. I found a lovely small little garden here in Glebe, just outside of the CBD, to talk about the insurance. Every rental in Sydney includes a mandatory third-party liability insurance and usually also includes a collision damage waiver or CDW. The catch is the excess, which is the amount you pay out of pocket if a car is damaged, even just a scratch or a dent. And this excess can range from 5,000 to a massive 7,000 Australian dollars, which is around 4,000 euros or US dollars. And if you ask yourself why it is so high, well, you will find it out soon when I talk about the wildlife. And to get peace of mind, I strongly suggest you always add the full insurance to cover this excess. But don't do it at the counter, because it will cost you an arm and a leg. Organize it before you pick up the car. For example, on the comparative website I previously mentioned, a zero excess cover typically costs between 10 and 20 Australian dollars. Given that a single small scratch can cost you between 500 and 1,000 dollars when you return the car, this is an absolutely bargain. And if you're not familiar with Australian dollars, well, 10 Australian dollars is between 6 and 7 US dollars or euros. And now let's talk about driving in Sydney and around. Like the UK, Australia drives on the left side of the road, meaning the steering wheel is on the right side. If you're not used to this, I recommend you rent an automatic car to make your life much easier. Speed limits are strictly enforced. You will find the speed cameras and detection camera used across Sydney and New South Wales. Expect limits up to 50 kilometers per hour or even 30 kilometers. Like in this street, for example, is 40 kilometers per hour, and they are in cities and towns, and up to 80k to 110k per hour on secondary roads and highways. And now a very important tip, especially outside the city: limit driving at sunset and completely avoid driving at night. This is when most of Australian wildlife, including large kangaroos, are active, and an accident can cause incredible damage. And this is why the excess and the collision damage waivers is usually between 5,000 and 7,000 dollars in Australia, because a collision with a kangaroo can really damage the car big time. So to finish off, once again, no driving at night outside of the cities. Sydney has unique challenges that differ significantly from other cities in Australia, like for example Melbourne. By the way, if you are planning also to visit Melbourne, you should check my playlist, which I'm gonna put there in the corner, with all of the videos from my home city. Now back to Sydney, it's definitely worth mentioning that the city has an extensive toll roads, including the Harbour Bridge, the Harbour Tunnel, cross-city tunnels, Eastern Distributor, and major motorways, the M2, the M4, the M5, the M7. And these tolls are totally cashless. The cameras check your number plate and charge you electronically. And your rental company will likely offer a toll system, but be cautious because they may charge additional administrative fees. You have 3 ways to manage tolls. The first one is simply to accept the car company rental fee. The second possibility you have is to buy a visitor pass online from Linked or Roam and link your rental car's number plate to it. You can also pay on the e-toll system whenever you drive through these tolls, but remember to do it within 3 days. And finally, you can use, of course, Google Maps or Waze just to avoid all of these toll roads, so that you don't have to worry about the tolls. Parking in the Sydney CBD can be a nightmare. It is limited and extremely expensive. For example, in this parking right next to the central station, it's $49 if you stay for 4 or more hours. Your best strategy is to park a little outside of the CBD and then walk or take public transportation in. For example, I am now in Glebe, and this area where these cars are parked is totally free of charge and it's unlimited. And then you can walk to the CBD from Glebe area in about 20-30 minutes. And if you plan to visit popular beaches around Sydney like Manly or Bondi, where I am at the moment, it's gonna be difficult to find parking besides being also very expensive, currently at $12 an hour. Always check the signs next to your parking spot as rule changes from street to street, and watch out for the permit zone where parking is strictly forbidden without a special permit. You will get fined almost immediately. For example, here you see a sign 1p unless you hold the permit. In that case, you can leave, of course, the car for as long as you want. If you have an accommodation in an area like this one, sometimes the owner will give you a temporary permit that you can put in your car so that you can leave it there during the day and during the night for an unlimited time. Thankfully, parking meters generally accept credit cards, or you can use an app like Easy Park or Park Mobile to pay for that. Using an app is great because you only pay for the exact time you park. And now let's talk about scams and how to avoid them. I have actually dedicated a full video to car rental scams in Australia that you should definitely check out. I'm going to put a link in the corner, and I will also add in the video description the most interesting videos about renting and driving cars here in Australia. In this video I want to mention the most damaging one, the claiming of pre-existing damage, where the rental companies may try to claim pre-existing damages like a small scratch or a dent to charge you against your high excess, and they may charge you up to $500 or even $700 for a small 2cm scratch. And how to avoid it? Well, before driving off, always take plenty of photos of the car exteriors and the interior too. This serves as a proof of the car condition upon pickup. Include also the rooftop and the undercarriage, especially here on the back and the front and the sides. And now let me answer the question I receive on a regular basis. What if you don't have a credit card? Well, don't panic, because actually a few companies in Sydney do accept debit cards. Just be prepared for them to charge a higher refundable holding deposit, which is a sort of expected. And on the comparative website that I previously suggested, that you can filter, for example, to have only rentals that accept debit cards at pickup. But be aware that almost all companies accept debit cards during the booking phase, but only a few of them accept debit cards when you pick up the car. Also, be aware that a few providers specifically ask for the numbers to be printed or embossed on the car, and they may not accept digital credit cards from your mobile. I'm organizing a couple of videos with road trips from Sydney, and for this reason I highly suggest subscribing to the channel and tick that little bell to get notified of my future videos, which I usually posted every week. Saying that, I want to suggest you 3 unique destinations that you should definitely consider. The first one is the Blue Mountains, which are around 1 hour west of Sydney, for the amazing walks in the mountains and the gorges too. The second one is Nelson Bay and Port Stephens, for the beautiful beaches and nature around 3 hours north of Sydney. And the third option is, of course, the Hunter Valley, Australia's oldest wine region, famous for its unique Semillon, Shiraz and Chardonnay wines. And this is around 2.5 hours north of the city. And now, if you're still with me, I guess you appreciated the effort in making this video. So take just a second to click on that like button and also on the subscribe button, because this means a lot to me. Even now that I'm making this video between 1,000 sandflies going back and forward in my face. And now we are really at the end of the video, so catch you next week. See you soon. Bye bye. Ciao.